Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar. I'm Lauren Milojevic, the Director of Marketing and Business Development at Simplify. Today, we're excited to have our partner of Planning, Analytics, and Consolidations, Jared Bilek. He's going to be discussing and demoing SAC and Group Reporting integration. When the webinar concludes, a short survey is going to appear. So if you guys can please fill that out, it's always really helpful feedback for us. We would really appreciate it. So please feel free to reach out to Jared or myself after the webinar with any questions or during the presentation. We can answer some questions afterward. So yeah, now I'll hand it over to Jared and he can get started.
Thanks, Lauren. So let's make sure here, Lauren, that did you want to make me a presenter?
Yes, I will make sure.
Okay, perfect. Yep, now it's available. Okay, everyone see my screen? Lauren,
Yep.
can you see my screen? Okay, great.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, so yeah, thank you everyone for joining this webinar. What we're going to cover today is how we connect group reporting to SAP Analytics Cloud. So some of the settings that we have to make in group reporting on the S4 side, as far as business users, business roles, communication connections. And then we're going to come over to the SAC side and we're going to show what that import data connection looks like. So, and then we're going to look at a couple of imports and what the data is going to look like and what some of your options are for changing that data and using it, more for either planning and actuals reporting or just kind of actuals reporting and analysis. So before we get started, I want to, for those of you who are familiar with our webinar series and our YouTube videos, thank you, welcome back. For those of you who aren't familiar, I'll give you a brief background on Simplify as a company and what we do. Myself, I'll give a brief group reporting overview, go through the roadmap, kind of see what's coming up, and then kind of exciting news, the new cloud edition for S/4HANA 2208 was just released a week ago. Causes some headaches, but has a lot of new, once you get everything kind of reconfigured, it has a lot of great new functionality available. So we're going to cover some of the key enhancements there that have been released in this release that just came out, I think, a week and a half ago. So pretty new, hot off the press. Then we're going to take a look. We're going to go into the system, and I'm just going to show you kind of the screens that you need to configure on the S/4HANA side to kind of make this connection possible. And then we're going to go to the SAC side and show you in the system kind of what you need to do to, again, make that connection possible. So just one, we'll kind of cover this in the group reporting overview, but know that our internal system is the S/4HANA Cloud Edition. There are two versions. There's Cloud Edition and on-premise. There are some differences in how you set up that S/4HANA configuration on the on-premise version. I'll talk a little bit about that, but yeah, just thought I'd say that. So let's talk about Simplify for a couple minutes and what it is that we do. So Simplify has, we specialize in planning, finance planning and analytics and consolidations. We have been around for a number of years. We're a very early adopter of SAP Analytics Cloud, which is how most of you probably know us. We did start out in that enterprise, SAP enterprise performance management space. So all of us have BPC backgrounds, BWIP, and on the consolidation side, some of us have ECCS backgrounds, BCS, and of course BPC. So we offer a lot of expertise in the area of SAP Analytics Cloud and group reporting, and we have also kind of a good amount of experience in BPC, Data Warehouse Cloud, BW, and in other areas of SAP integration. We focus on all we do is SAP. So we don't do Hyperion or Workday or anything else. We are only SAP, and again, planning, analytics, and consolidation. So a lot of overlap there. So pretty consistent with how most of us started, which is kind of in that BWIP BPC space. Some of our customers and our references. Oops, sorry. So we live for our referenceable customers. Our goal is to make our customers happy, be referenceable for every project. So we have a lot of repeat customers because a lot of times customers will come to us after some difficulties with another SI or trying it themselves. They'll come to us. Kind of given our experience, we implement very quickly and we deliver value very quickly, so we get a lot of repeat business. So that's kind of our business model. We also focus on a lot of pre-delivered solutions. So we build solutions for financial reporting, HR planning, CapEx planning, sales planning. We've really started, and a lot more than that. We started integrating those solutions so that they can send data back and forth to each other. We're building solutions integrated with group reporting. And so that is really where we've invested thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the system, and more importantly, in consulting time and expertise to build these prepackaged solutions, which allow us to deliver our projects faster than our competitors. So a couple use cases. These are available on our website. So Wolverine, one of our key clients, big SAC adopter, has a lot of success using this tool. StepIn is another one that's presented on our behalf at numerous conferences. You can see that StepIn's implemented a whole array of solutions around financial reporting, management reporting. And here are just some references from some of our customers, for FP&A. And a little bit about me. Jarrett Bialik, as Lauren mentioned, I've been in the SAP space since 2005. Started out as a BWIP consultant. My first project ever was a BWIP project. And then moved into BPC in late 2008 when it was still OutlookSoft, and was primarily a BPC consultant for the next 10 years, 10, 11, 12 years. So then started mixing in with SAP Analytics Cloud and Group Reporting when the strategic direction from SAP turned that way. So I been at a couple different consulting companies. I've been with Simplify for a couple years, almost 2 years now. So happy happy to be part of this organization, happy to be working with SAC and Group Reporting. Really like kind of the direction of the products, and the integration is kind of when we see Hyperion, Workday, Anaplan, like the integration between SAP, the transactional systems, be it SuccessFactors, Cloud for Customer, or S/4HANA, and the analytics systems is just unparalleled. So love to see that. Love to see some of the usability enhancements and kind of more visualizations, more calculating power being added to SAC. So again, every year brings kind of a host of enhancements. Okay, so now we will kind of give a brief group reporting overview. So for those of you who aren't familiar with group reporting, the goal is to get the process, condense the process, and get the data closer to the transaction data where it's stored. So we've moved it from basically being a BW or kind of analytics based tool where we are extracting data out of our transactional system, aggregating it, and then moving it into an analytics system. This is now the consolidation process in Engine is now directly on top of the transactional data in the same system. So we are closer to that transactional data, the Universal Journal and AC.A. We are then able to, that replication into AC.U, which is where kind of more of our aggregated consolidation records are held, is near instantaneous, right? It's right there. There's no waiting for batch loads. It's just at a click of a button. A lot of control that we can give the controllers to be able to perform all their necessary consolidation tasks, both quickly but also in a controlled manner. So if we look at kind of how group reporting came about, it's really the kind of combination of a lot of different SAP consolidating tools. The main kind of engine being SAP ECCS, but also with some key functionalities from BPC, BPC Optima, different versions of BPC, and SAP Financial Consolidation. So what we see from the ECCS side of it that people really liked is just all the layering of all the different document types and all the different posting levels give you a complete audit trail and how to kind of track all the different processes from data loading to reclasses, currency translation, journal entries, all the way up through the actual consolidation at the group level and in eliminations. Everything's posted with a specific document type and a specific posting level or transaction type. So complete traceability throughout the entire system. And what's nice is that we can bring as much of that as we need into SAC as well. So we'll see that when we connect and download the data, we can see all those different fields are available for us to bring into SAC. So looking at the end-to-end overview, we can see that S/4HANA can be central finance, can be connected sidecars. Central finance can be on top of various ERP systems. We can use group reporting data collection as a tool to connect to other SAP systems or non-SAP systems. So you don't need data collection in order to be able to run group reporting, but it does give you some additional flexibility in terms of scheduling, mapping, transforming that data, especially from non-SAP systems, but also ECC. When we're looking at the group reporting process, a lot of diagrams that you see basically break it down into kind of four process areas. One being data collection, so that's getting the data into group reporting, be it from non-SAP systems, other SAP systems, or even within the own S/4HANA instance. Then it's preparing the data. So there are a lot of different tasks, and we'll kind of go into what tasks are a couple slides from now. A lot of different tasks that cover things like data validation, currency translations, the ability to enter manual journal entries at multiple steps in the process, ability to run those intercompany matches and reconciliation. Then we're looking at really the consolidation engine part of the process. So running our intercompany eliminations and making those postings, running our consolidation of investments, having our different versions or extended versions. There are a lot of different versions of, and when I say versions now, I mean kind of releases of group reporting. Version, starting in the 1909 release of group reporting, the ledger concept went away, the version concept came in. So now we, instead of having multiple ledgers, we have multiple versions, which gives us the capability to extend those versions out and have different versions that can keep using the same core data, but then we can have different different currency translations for different groups. So we could have a European consolidation currency translation version for our European groups. We could have an APAC, US, all separate on different groups, and then you can have your core version as well that all the data comes into. So when it comes to reporting, this is really the, this is kind of where there's a lot of different ways that people are implementing group reporting. So when my first group reporting project, we did a mix of reporting within the group reporting tool using Data Analyzer. And then for kind of more book reporting, we used Analysis for Office. So we were able to connect to CDS views, be able to connect Analysis for Office to those views, and be able to have a lot of control over the reporting. That was, back in the kind of 1809 version. Now with kind of the newer versions and also with kind of a lot of enhancements in 3 to 4 years of maturity for the SAC product, now we're looking more towards doing that reporting in a tool like SAC. So there's still capabilities to do reporting Analysis for Office. Once you import the data over to SAC, again, you can report off Analysis for Office or the SAC Excel add-in. But what we really like are the reporting capabilities of SAC. The ability, all the collaboration ability, visualizations, dashboards, and the ease of use of, creating the reports in the SAC web tool. So here's just kind of another breakdown of additional tasks within the group reporting process. So you, again, can see these kind of 4 main process areas where we collect the data. We're kind of collecting, preparing, then consolidating, then analyzing. You can see all the different tasks that are involved in that in terms of opening periods, validating the master data, maintaining exchange rates, collecting that data, running data validations, currency translation, making our manual postings, running our eliminations, running our consolidation of investments, revalidating, calculating group shares, what have you, and then doing our analysis on top of all that. So again, because this data is posted at different posting levels, different document types, we have the ability to really see the impact of every one of those separate tasks. So I've mentioned kind of the tasks, and there's basically two screens that you're going to be in a lot of when you're running through the consolidation process. There are many more Fiori screens, but the two big ones are data monitor and consolidation monitor. So your data monitor is really that data collection, currency translation, and validations steps. And as you open up the data monitor, you can see here, this is opened up at a group view, so we can see our consolidation units down the left here, and then we see our tasks across the top. You can also open up the data monitor in a consolidation unit view, where you see one consolidation unit and then the tasks, down the left-hand side, and then basically your process, in the columns. So same thing with consolidation monitor. This can be run at the consolidation group level, at different levels, and you'll again see your processes, your tasks across the columns in the top. So you can run through these a couple different running options where you can just run through them all at once, or you can kind of take them a step-by-step approach. All really depends on, are you rerunning a single consolidation unit, or are you rerunning the whole group? One thing to be aware of is that if you were to reload or rerun any task, then all the subsequent tasks after that would then have to be reprocessed. So for those of you who may not be used to kind of S/4HANA screens or Fiori screens, group reporting is Fiori based. Again, this is, there are two versions of group reporting. There's the cloud edition, there's the on-premise edition. Both have Fiori tiles that are relevant, but the on-premise version does have a lot of configuration tasks that are also done in SAP GUI as well. So things like maintaining exchange rates, creating versions, creating breakdown categories, kind of FS item attributes, selections, things like that, which might not mean much to you if you don't know group reporting. But if you are familiar with group reporting, those types of activities are all done in SAP GUI, along with many more. And then really what in SAP GUI, what you're using Fiori for are maintaining FS items, maintaining consolidation units, consolidation groups, and running the consolidation monitor and data monitors. So here's just another kind of breakdown of the data monitor. Basically, we, before we start our collection process, we have to open the period, make sure that's open. And then we can run through, once it's open, we can run through our tasks and, basically complete this. So once you do have to run through data monitor tasks successfully before you can launch the consolidation monitor. So there is a bit of a stage gate there. So as we move on, we can see, we need these green boxes to show up. These tasks are locked if they've been completed. Once we lock, have successful tasks all the way through, for those that are applicable, you can see here, this release of Universal Journal. Talk about that really quickly. So I mentioned that, group reporting sits on top of AC.K, but it has the ability to process transactional records, both from company codes that are in S/4HANA as well as company codes that are not in S/4HANA. So even company codes that are in S/4HANA, you might not want to pull directly from the Universal Journal. So you have the option to run something called a flexible upload, which allows you to basically load a flat file and load your data that way. Again, definitely a strategy for companies, company codes that are not in S/4HANA, but sometimes even strategy for company codes that are in S/4HANA, but maybe you're loading historical data, or you're still running through, you're still kind of not live on either Central Finance or S/4HANA yet. So there might be some company codes that you still want to load manually through the flexible upload process. So if you're running flexible upload, you'll see this dash here because releasing the universal journal isn't relevant. You'll run the flexible upload in this data collection task. Also, the validation of the universal journal documents is not relevant because these have been uploaded. So then you're basically validating your flexible uploads data in this reported data validation rule right here. A screen, this is an example of a screen that when you're running through these tasks, and these are also how it will look for some data monitor tasks as well. It gives you the ability to kind of test run it before you run through them, before you post things, just to see if you're going to run into any errors, if there's any kind of missing data, missing attributes, what have you. If you hit update, that basically allows you to run or rerun individual tasks, and then logs kind of give you, if you run into any errors, give you a way to view those errors and kind of drill down into some of the error messages there. And then real quick, some of the key terms, you're going to see this when we start getting into the system, but posting level, document type, consolidation unit, consolidation group, partner unit, basically your trading partner, financial statement item are your group accounts. So there's a process for mapping GL accounts to FS items, and then version, which is your actual plan forecast. It can even be actuals at last year's rates. It can be actuals at a different conversion, in a different base conversion. So a lot of flexibility, again, with the latest group reporting releases on being able to have different versions and doing kind of a multiple scenario consolidation. So as we look, consolidation units are collected in consolidation groups. So consolidation group is, again, assigned multiple consolidation units. You can have multiple consolidation groups, and then you can consolidate, again, giving you just kind of more flexibility in how you are running your consolidations. So as we look at consolidation units, think, now I will say this changes a little bit, kind of how I used to present this. So consolidation units used to be pretty much a one-to-one to company codes. However, as we'll see in the latest release of the 2208 version, they're really changing kind of the idea of consolidation units. So now you can have these flexible derived consolidation units that can really represent a different different segments, different profit centers. So no longer is a consolidation unit have to be kind of a whole company code. So that's pretty interesting. I have a screenshot a little bit later to show that. But I'm just going to go kind of through quickly kind of the rest of this, because this is kind of more of a deeper dive of group reporting, and I think a lot of people came for the integration piece. So real quick, let's talk about the latest product roadmap, so that we can see here one of the biggest enhancements is the ability to integrate planning data from SAC back to group reporting. That cloud The capability to do that to group reporting cloud version, again, was just released a couple of weeks ago. So that's going to be my next webinar, is walking you through that retraction from SAC back into group reporting. We can see that in Q4 that they're going to release it for the on-premise version, as well as some of these enhanced APIs for master data, data warehouse integration, and this segment reporting through flexible derivation and consolidation unit that I was mentioning earlier. So all those, we see those coming into the in the Q4 release, being available on the on-premise version, as well as some additional enhancements for group reporting data collection as well. And then, if you're familiar with kind of looking at these roadmaps, we can also kind of see what's what's planned out for the future. SAP's done a pretty good job of being fairly close to these timelines. So yeah, it's good to see some of these capabilities coming down the road. So as we look, again, this is a little bit of an enhanced model in showing that showing this SAC integration directly back to AC.Q. So there was always kind of SAC integration back to AC.P that then could kind of come back up and be released and integrated with the AC.Q data. But it's going to be real nice to be able to bring this data directly back into AC.Q and take out a couple steps. Here we can kind of just see some of the other things, but really the main thing to take away from this slide is we still have the CDS views and live connections, able to create stories on that. But typically, I promote the idea to have import connections, be able to import the master data actuals into a planning model, combine it with your planning data. Gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of, again, combining it with that planning data. Now you can take that planning data and send it back, but also running additional calculations, and having specific KPIs that exist in SAC. So a lot of capabilities there if you bring it into a planning model. Some of the other things that are new in the release, again, I mentioned this flexible derivation consolidation units for segment reporting. So basically giving you the ability to, consolidation unit no longer has to be an entire company code. It can be broken down by segment, functional area, profit center, or any combination of those. We have the ability to, do selection. We now have selection attributes on consolidation units. So this gives us, again, a little bit more flexibility in kind of how our rules are processed. We're able to kind of group our consolidation units, again, by these rules. It's already used with FS items, very powerful capability, and used a lot in consolidation investments, intercompany eliminations, reclasses. So now this just kind of enhances the capability to also apply some of those selection rules on consolidation units. So we also have some enhanced master data APIs. So if you're familiar, if you've loaded data from group reporting, there were a good amount, be it FS items, company codes. You could load those direct from group reporting and get those. Now we can, have the ability to look at GL accounts, cost centers, profit centers. So it's nice. So we don't have to go back to kind of the underlying S/4HANA system. It really just kind of limits the number of connections, and we'll get into kind of what those connections look like here pretty shortly. So again, this is more just kind of another diagram showing the integration of SAP Analytics Cloud back to group reporting. So now we're going to go into the system. I'm going to show you kind of these connections. I'm also going to show you, for those of you who get new releases, and especially if you're on the cloud version, you might have some similar pain points that I've had in the past, where this is probably expired, so I'll just start it new. So as we come into group reporting, if there's a release, one thing that you might, kind of the first thing you might find out that there's a new release is that a bunch of these tiles go away. And really what happens is that these tiles are, the tiles that are available to you are based on a combination of authorizations as well as business roles and business catalogs. So basically you're assigning business catalogs to business roles, and then business roles to users and to business users. So I'm going to show you that real quick and kind of what happens and what you have to do when you come in here and you don't see any tiles, and then you realize, oh, they just released a new release. So let me, I think I passed it. And this right here, this communication management, is another area that we'll visit kind of during this session, because this is where you're going to set up all your APIs and connections between the systems. So when we're looking at business roles, actually, we'll just kind of go back real quick. And, as you're looking at your business users, so these are your users in your system. You set these users up through kind of your core business BTP, business technology platform, IS, identity, it's authentication system. But if you come in here, what's nice about that, I should be able to open that up pretty quickly. Is here you can just, access all these users, and you can see kind of what applications they're assigned to. You can create new users, you can reset their password, what have you. So this is just kind of a maintenance cockpit for maintaining those users. So as we go and you're maintaining roles, you're going to come in here. Again, I'll do this quickly because we're already only have 20 minutes left. But you're going to see all these roles here. So as you are, you have these roles, it will say whether or not, these business roles are aligned with kind of the current roles that are available. And that's another indicator that you might need to create new roles. So basically what you do is you kind of come in here and you recreate these roles from a template. So you just kind of look at these business role descriptions, and you can just type in group reporting here. And then you're going to get these. You basically create this. I'm going to just show you what it looks like. So I created these new versions for 2022. So if we look at, say, the consolidation specialist role, you're going to come in here, you're going to see all these business catalogs, and these are going to be your tiles. These control what tiles you see, and then you assign these to users, right? So, when you come in, there's a big upgrade. These tiles are no longer available. All you have to do is come in here, create a new set of business roles, and I like to tie them to the releases. So I had a 2021 here before that, tied to the releases, and then just reassign the users, and then they show right back up. So as we are, so that's one thing, you know, as you're doing this and you need to set this up, you need to have the right business roles in order to be able to maintain kind of the users and the connections. So the next step that we're going through is this communication management. So as we look at our communication arrangements, this is where we're really assigning APIs to these communication users. And you know, you can assign multiple APIs or arrangements to a single user, so that you know you really only have to connect to one. So this is an example of where you know, this is an arrangement here, and these are all the APIs that come with this arrangement. And then you assign this arrangement to a communication user. So this is basically you assign an arrangement to a system, and then you assign the system to a user. So you can see here the SAC COM user, and the authentication method is user ID and password, which means when you're on the SAC side, you're going to use this SAC, this username, and the username and password set up for this user to access these APIs, right? So as we go back, so this is the communication arrangement. So then you assign the communication arrangement to systems, but I'm just going to go directly to the communication user because there you can kind of see everything together. So we're going to go to this SAC COM user. So you can set up these individual users. For example, this COM 370 is the communication arrangement 370, which has the API for sending plan data, SAC plan data back to group reporting, right? I have it kind of isolated here because I want to test some things individually. But if I were to look at this SAC COM user, I can see that I have these arrangements here, 248, 336, and 348. And we can see what these do, right? So here we have, this says planning integration, but planning integration is really 370 for that SAC back and forth. The transaction data, this is 348. So this is the big one that you need if you want to pull group reporting transaction data into SAC. So you need this communication arrangement 348 to be assigned to a system, and then that system to a user. So as we see this user, you know, this is the user name that we set up, and then this is the password. So when we go into the SAC system, this is where we're going to use that password here. And I'll just kind of show you what that looks like real quick. Oh, sorry, I thought I had that up there. We'll come back to it. But yeah, so I think I've showed you pretty much all the connections here. So now we can go into basically the SAP Analytics Cloud system and show you how we use that to connect. Also, something that you might want to consider is that SAP released business content for planning and group reporting integration. So it says, you know, group financial planning. So this is content that you can come directly to the content store. Let me see which, the content network. Come here to business content. And you can come in right in here and just download this contest. So we can see that I downloaded this successfully into our system, and then basically that is all the content that I'm seeing right here. So as we're looking at this, I'm also going to open up a separate screen and just show you how to create the connection real quick. So you're just going to come down here, go to connections. And I'm just going to edit this one that I've already created. But you'll be able to see kind of everything that I'm talking about. So here, these names, just, these you can create whatever you want. They are what you will pick when you're extracting data. You will just pull a drop down and you'll pick this connection. One key thing to know is that this is an OData service connection. That's the type. So you want, for group reporting, you want to use an OData service. That's what that's the type of API that it uses to extract the transaction data. You also want to mark this if you're connecting to an on-premise OData service, and then leave this checked and leave it unchecked if you're doing a cloud system. So this data service URL, this is also something that you get provided by the communication arrangement. So if you look at this communication arrangement, you see this data service URL here, and really you just need it up to the, I think it's to the .com, but you can put the whole thing in here. But you're putting in this data service URL. So that is a key entry. So again, these check marks, this proper data service URL, your basic authentication type, username and password. And remember, this is the username that we created back in this screen. This is our username and this password here. So you can, if you have the authorizations, you can come in here, change that password, save it. I had to do that after this release. Create a new password, and then everything worked fine. So this is again where you're creating the initial OData connection. So this establishes the connection between, and this gives you all the APIs that this user has access to, through this connection. Now, because it's no data connection, we will see that. We'll basically see the transactional data APIs, but we will do that now. So we're going to look at what we're loading here. So as we're coming in, I'll kind of show you what the selections that you're making, and now we'll take a look at some of these that I've already loaded. So just to create it from scratch, you're going to come down here, select OData services, select your GR web connection. It says create new query, yes. Now this is a very important part that's not, that's not very obvious. So you could come in here and you could click this, and if you're familiar with SAC, this all looks familiar. You could, select these and you see fields, and you can even filter on them. You can bring them over. It will not work. So you have to make a freehand query. And basically the syntax for that is right here. So, as we're looking at this, and I have this kind of set up, and I'll show you kind of how all the differences all the different parameters, what they mean here. But I just want to show you that because this is really this is the heart of it. If you haven't done this, this is probably the least intuitive part here, is that you have to create a freehand query and you have to use, basically the text. If you look at, in the, there is SAP help. If you look in group reporting, you look at the APIs for loading transactional data. It will give you kind of the starting point for that query, for the query syntax. So as I'm looking at this, so this is our basic just transactional data connection. So I'm just going to load this. And we're just going to look at the query that I wrote. So as we're looking here, this is the API name right here, transaction data. And here are the results. So here are your parameters. So if you want to load by a specific consolidation unit hierarchy, segment hierarchy, profit center hierarchy, you'd put in that hierarchy here. Here are the fields that you are selecting. And then here are the filters. So you can see here's your selection, $sign selection parameter. And then you have your $sign filter parameter. And this is really, this is, kind of the important part where you need to pick your ledger, your fiscal year, and your period and your consolidation version. So you might notice here, I don't know if this is a bug that's going to be fixed, but this %2F has to be a replacement for anywhere that you would have a backslash. So as you'll see in another one of my queries, I have a consolidation unit hierarchy that has a backslash. Anywhere that has a backslash, you have to replace it with this %2F. Again, not something that is super intuitive until you spend a couple hours wondering why 010/2021 isn't working when everything else seems fine. So this is what we're looking at. This query right here will bring in data for the period 10/2021 version 1 in the periodic mode, which means basically the monthly activity for that period. So if I were to go back and look, this is an example of if I wanted year to date, I would have the same query, but I would just change that periodic mode to year to date. Okay. Everything else is the same. Now, one other thing is group reporting has this concept of consolidating elimination unit. So when it runs the eliminations, it posts values into this virtual consolidation eliminations unit. In order to get that value, you need to basically supply a consolidation unit hierarchy. So as we're looking at this, here's where we're going to see where I provide that consolidation unit hierarchy. So that hierarchy is CS17, SF Global. So as we're looking at some of the data that we're pulling, if I just look at my data analysis real quick, it's pretty easy to just kind of match it to this. So if I just pull in and just run this, so this is a very simple one that just has kind of one version here. But if I were to open this up, I do have a version that has some more data. So you can see here, and then if I were to run with the consolidation group, sorry, and this consolidation hierarchy. And pick this consolidating statement that I have. Now we can see all these elimination groups, right? So what we're trying to do is basically, match this in our extract. So as we look here, so I've already run this. So I'm just going to go ahead and set up import. So this is the elimination query that I ran. So this is pulling it into SAC. So here we can see we have our consolidation ledger, we have our version, we have our periodic modes. So this would be YTD if it was YTD. We have our consolidation unit, and then we have our consolidating unit for elim. So as we go down here, we'll see these elimination entries, and we can see that they're posted, at for different document types and different posting levels, right? So this is how we can, an example of how we can kind of tease these out. Again, the sub item, means different things in consolidation, in group reporting rather. 900, for example, is kind of an opening balance. 915, I think, is monthly activity. These are again something that you can map into your planning system. But this is really what the data is going to look like coming out. We can see that we have data available in local currency. We have data available in group currency. And then, if there's any profit center data, trading partner data, what have you. So here we have trading partners. So this is really what the data looks like. So once you get it to this point, if you're familiar with SAC, then it's just standard, it's just standard mapping into your dimensions. So as we're loading this, we have a couple that are already mapped automatically, but then we can kind of derive our fiscal year period to time, pick which one we want for amount, or if we want multiple. The delivered only has, one measure, so we could create additional measures if we wanted to map both local currency and group currency into separate measures. So, that really covers kind of what I wanted to cover for. I'm sorry we kind of rushed through the end here, but it covers kind of the integration part from group reporting into SAC. So what I'm looking to cover for my next webinar topic, hope you come back, is that planning integration back to group reporting and a little bit more of the reporting side in SAC, and kind of showing you the differences and kind of some of the enhancements that we can make in SAC on group reporting data, where we have capabilities in SAC that we don't have in group reporting. So yeah, well, thank you very much, Lauren. I think that took us through to the hour. So yeah, again, thank you for attending. I'll leave this up a little bit so that if you have any questions, you can email me. Yeah, and hope to talk to you in the future. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you.